Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. The rarest souls aren't loud. They're just too focused to make noise. Let's be honest, most people don't really get Sigma males. They're constantly misread, labeled as antisocial or arrogant, when in reality they're just wired differently. They move through the world with a kind of quiet force, calculated, observant, and detached from the constant need for attention or approval. This video isn't about the usual Sigma male stereotypes floating around online. It's about the real, often overlooked things that Sigma males truly enjoy. The strange, uncommon preferences that most people will never understand. We're diving deep into the inner world of a man who doesn't chase validation, doesn't follow the crowd, and doesn't fear being alone. These aren't surface-level traits. These are the raw truths, the things Sigma males don't talk about but live by. And if any of it resonates with you, you're probably not broken. You're just not built for the noise. So if you've ever felt like you enjoy things that others find too intense, too quiet, or just plain odd, you're in the right place. There's strength in standing alone. There's wisdom in not needing the spotlight. And there's power in knowing who you are, without needing to explain it. Stick around. You might just realize you're not alone. You're rare. And in a world full of followers, that's your greatest advantage. Watch until the end. This one's made for you. Let's dive in rare breeds. Number 1. Creating plans no one knows about. Sigma males have a strange habit that most people won't notice until it's too late. They create plans in silence. No announcements, no hint of what's brewing, no hype or drama. Just pure focus behind the scenes. They don't talk about what they're building. They don't fish for approval. They don't need anyone to clap for them while they're still laying the foundation. In fact, the bigger the dream, the more quiet they become. Not because they're unsure, but because they're fully committed. Most people can't help but share every little move they make. They update, post, vent, and brag before anything is even finished. Sigma males? They'd rather say nothing for a year, and then let the results speak so loudly that nobody can ignore them. While others are busy performing progress, Sigmas are living it in silence. They don't care about validation because they've trained themselves to care about the outcome more than the optics. They've learned that energy leaks through loose lips. The more people you tell, the more opinions you invite, and the more noise you have to filter through. Sigma males don't need that. They protect their vision like a vault, knowing that the less they explain, the more power they hold. When it's time to reveal the result, they don't do it to impress. They do it because the job is done and the silence has paid off. By the time people realize what the Sigma was up to, it's already too late to catch up. That's the beauty of moving in silence. While the world was watching distractions, he was mastering his plan. So if a Sigma male seems distant or unavailable, it's not rudeness, it's discipline. He's in creation mode. And when the time comes to strike, it'll be clean, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Not because he said it would happen, but because he made it happen. Number 2, having zero desire to compete with anyone. Sigma males aren't interested in being number 1. They're just not wired that way. The whole idea of competition feels small to them. While others are obsessed with proving they're better, faster, richer, or more successful, the Sigma male quietly removes himself from that mindset. He doesn't need a title to feel worthy. He doesn't need to win someone else's game. In fact, he's not even playing the same game as everyone else. He's focused on growth, not dominance. The only person he's trying to beat is who he used to be, and that's what makes him dangerous in a different kind of way. While others are distracted by comparisons and trying to outshine each other, the Sigma is evolving quietly, consistently, and on his own terms. He's not worried about looking successful. He's busy becoming solid, skilled, and unshakable. Competition often breeds ego, insecurity, and burnout. Sigma males see through all of that. They understand that real power isn't loud, and it doesn't need to be proven. It just is. That's why they don't bother showing off. They don't need your applause, and they're not threatened by your wins. If anything, your success only fuels them to keep leveling up privately. Not to beat you, but because they know they're not done growing. There's a kind of calm confidence in a Sigma male. He doesn't rush. doesn't panic, and doesn't measure himself with someone else's ruler. He knows what he's building and he trusts his timing. While others are sprinting, desperate to get ahead, he's walking in his own direction with zero need to compare. That kind of mindset confuses people because it's rare, but it's also powerful. And by the time they realize he was never competing, they've already lost. Because he wasn't chasing trophies, he was becoming untouchable. Number 3, the art of becoming a ghost without dying. Sigma males have mastered something most people are afraid to even attempt: disappearing without warning and doing it without guilt. They know when to go quiet, when to walk away, and when to cut the signal entirely. To others it might seem cold or confusing, but to a Sigma, vanishing is not about punishing anyone, it's about self-preservation. They don't disappear because they're broken. They disappear because they're tired of being drained by meaningless conversations, fake connections, and the constant pressure to perform. They feel the weight of other people's expectations and energy, and instead of carrying it, they drop it. No announcement, no drama, just silence. People often say, "You've changed," or "Where did you go?" But the Sigma male never left himself. He left the noise, the pressure, the masks. He knows that real clarity happens in solitude. When the world demands constant availability, he chooses distance. And in that distance, he finds strength, direction, and truth. Social media, he can take it or leave it. Being constantly reachable doesn't appeal to him. He'd rather disconnect and rebuild his mental world than scroll endlessly for validation. He doesn't care who notices his absence. What matters is whether he feels aligned when he returns. And when he does come back, he's never the same. He's sharper, calmer, more focused. The people who misunderstood his silence don't matter. The ones who respect it, they get it. This art of becoming a ghost isn't escape, it's power. The kind of power that doesn't need to be seen to be real. Number 4, the unseen layers of women. Others overlook. Sigma males move differently when it comes to women. They're not dazzled by surface-level beauty or charmed by the loudest voice in the room. What catches their attention are the things most men overlook. The silent strength, the quiet resilience, the emotional scars she never talks about but carries like armor. They don't chase the woman everyone wants. They seek the one few truly see because they know that real power rarely announces itself. To a Sigma male, depth is everything. He notices the subtle things, the way her eyes shift when she's holding back tears, the way she keeps people at arm's length, not because she's cold, but because she's been hurt. He reads her silences better than her words. He respects her independence, but he also sees the pain that shaped it. While others get impatient trying to fix her or break down her walls, he honors those walls. He understands they were built for survival, not attention. He doesn't romanticize her pain, but he sees value in it. He knows people who've suffered deeply often have the most wisdom, the strongest character, and the rarest kind of beauty. The kind you can't see with your eyes, only feel when you're close enough. That's what he's drawn to. Not perfection, not polish, but rawness, truth, depth. He'd rather sit in silence with a woman who's been through hell and made it out stronger than entertain shallow conversations with someone who's never been tested. Sigma males don't want someone to complete them. They want someone who's already whole in her own way, even if that wholeness was built from broken pieces. They're not looking to save anyone, and they don't want to be saved either. They want a real connection. Soul level, silent, strong, and they'll wait as long as it takes to find it. Because they know that the rarest treasures are always hidden beneath the surface, not flashing in plain sight. Number 5, knowing more than he says. A Sigma male isn't the type to brag about what he knows or what he's planning. In fact, he'd rather let you assume he's clueless while he's already 10 steps ahead. He observes, absorbs, and calculates quietly, not out of secrecy, but out of principle. To him, not everything needs to be said. Not every move needs to be announced. There's power in keeping things to yourself, especially in a world that overshares everything for attention. He doesn't speak to prove he's smart. He speaks when it matters. That's why people often underestimate him, because he's not performing for approval. He knows more than he lets on, and he likes it that way. It's not that he's hiding something, it's just that he believes his thoughts, plans, and insights don't belong to anyone else until he decides to share them. Being quiet isn't weakness, it's strategy. While everyone else is busy reacting, showing off, or trying to one-up each other, he's staying still, thinking ahead and choosing his moment. He's not moved by ego. He doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. He's patient enough to watch things unfold, knowing exactly when and how to act if he needs to. What people don't realize is that his silence isn't emptiness. It's full of calculation. He listens closely, reads between the lines, and stores information others miss. That's how he stays ahead. That's how he protects his energy. And that's how he keeps control, not by speaking, but by knowing when to say nothing. If you think he doesn't know what's going on, it's probably because he wants you to think that. He's not interested in proving anything. He's interested in mastering everything and doing it on his own terms, without permission or noise. Number 6. Unfiltered conversations with themselves. Sigma males spend a lot of time inside their own heads, and not in a restless, anxious kind of way. They have full-blown conversations with themselves that are raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest. They question everything, especially their own choices, motives, fears, and flaws. Most people run from that kind of mental confrontation. The Sigma male dives straight into it. Not because he enjoys suffering, but because he knows truth only surfaces when the lies are stripped away, and he refuses to lie to himself. He doesn't sugarcoat his failures. He doesn't make excuses. When he messes up, he calls himself out, harshly if needed. When his ego starts talking, he shuts it down. And when he feels fear creeping in, he doesn't bury it. He pulls it up, examines it, and demands to know where it came from. That level of inner clarity isn't normal for most people, and that's exactly why he's different. He's not afraid of discomfort if it leads to growth. What makes it even more intense is that he doesn't need someone else to check him. He checks himself constantly. His inner dialogue is like a never-ending audit of who he is and who he's becoming. And through those quiet, relentless self-conversations, he evolves. He doesn't need a therapist in the room to admit what's wrong with him. He already knows. He's already working on it. This kind of self-awareness doesn't make him cold. It makes him powerful. He doesn't fall for his own illusions, and that means it's very hard for the world to manipulate him. He sees through his own patterns before they take over. That's why he stays grounded. That's why he grows faster than most. He doesn't hide from his shadow. He faces it every day. And in that private, intense dialogue with himself, he becomes someone no one else can fake being. Number 7. Learning from enemies. Sigma males don't waste energy on hate. If you're their enemy, rival, or critic, they won't obsess over trying to destroy you. They'll study you. They'll figure out what you do well, what makes you a threat, and what they can learn from your strategy. It's not emotional. It's intellectual. You're a lesson to them, a puzzle to be decoded. And once they've gotten what they came for, they move on, smarter, sharper, and way ahead. They don't let ego get in the way of intelligence. Just because they don't like someone doesn't mean they can't extract value from them. If you're doing something right, a Sigma will notice. They won't deny your strength just to protect their pride. Instead, they'll absorb what works, toss out what doesn't, and adapt it to fit their own system. That's how they evolve so fast. They're constantly collecting data, even from people they disagree with. This mindset gives them a serious advantage. While others get emotional, defensive, or reactive around enemies, Sigma males stay cool. They don't take things personally. They zoom out. They analyze the full board like a strategist. Their rivals might be playing checkers, but the Sigma is playing chess and studying every move with precision. What unnerves their enemies most is that a Sigma male doesn't respond with predictable rage. He doesn't start drama. He simply watches, learns, improves. And by the time the rival realizes they've been studied, the Sigma has already outgrown them. That's the ultimate quiet revenge. Growth so undeniable it makes the original conflict irrelevant. To a Sigma, even enemies have value. Not as people to be feared or hated, but as temporary mirrors reflecting parts of the game he hasn't mastered yet. Once he does, the mirror breaks, and he never looks back. Number 8. Intelligent people who challenge them, not praise them. Sigma males aren't interested in being worshipped. Flattery does nothing for them. In fact, constant praise makes them suspicious. They don't want to be surrounded by people who nod at everything they say. They want people who push back, ask questions, and challenge their logic. If you can't disagree with them intelligently, they'll quickly lose interest. Respect, to them, doesn't look like blind agreement. It looks like someone brave enough to sharpen their mind, even if it means going head-to-head with them. They thrive on that kind of tension, not because they love conflict, but because they love growth. Iron sharpening iron. They know their ideas aren't perfect. They know they can't see every angle. So they want people who can point out the weak spots in their thinking without ego or emotion. People who aren't intimidated by them, and who don't try to impress them either. Just raw honesty, grounded in intelligence. That's who earns their respect. A Sigma male values truth over comfort. And he knows that truth usually comes through friction, not flattery. He doesn't get defensive when someone challenges him. He gets curious. He listens, analyzes, and either refines his position or strengthens it with better clarity. That's how he evolves, through hard conversations with people who know how to think, not just talk. To the outside world, these debates might look like cold arguments. But to the Sigma male, that's connection. That's trust. That's respect. If he's letting you challenge his ideas, it means he sees you as an equal. And if you can challenge him without trying to win, manipulate, or show off, you've earned a rare place in his world. Because for a Sigma, a mind that can stand up to his without falling into ego games isn't a threat. It's a gift. Number 9. Total freedom, even if it means being alone forever. For a Sigma male, freedom isn't a lifestyle, it's his lifeline. It's the one thing he refuses to negotiate, no matter how tempting the reward or how high the cost. If something threatens his autonomy, he walks. No second guesses. No emotional blackmail. He would rather live alone for the rest of his life, completely misunderstood, disconnected from the herd, than surrender even the smallest piece of his independence. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect on a level most people can't grasp. The world constantly tries to convince people to compromise, to settle down, to fit in, to play it safe. But Sigma males are built different. They're not looking to be taken care of. They're not afraid of the silence that comes with solitude. In fact, they welcome it. That silence gives them clarity. That space gives them room to breathe, to think, to exist on their own terms. It's where they do their best work, their deepest reflection, and their realest growth. What terrifies others about that kind of self-trust is how unshakable it is. Sigma males don't chase approval, attention, or constant companionship. They don't fear being alone because they've already made peace with themselves. They've explored their darkness, owned their flaws, and built a life that doesn't rely on anyone else's validation. That kind of inner strength makes people nervous, because it reminds them of what they haven't built for themselves. Relationships, friendships, community, they're not off the table for a Sigma male, but they have to come without control, without pressure, without expectation. If it feels like a cage, he'll disappear without warning, without guilt, and without looking back. He doesn't need permission to be who he is. He doesn't need company to feel complete. Total freedom is his standard, and he'll protect it even if it means walking a path no one else understands. Number 10. Being the last one in the room who hasn't spoken. Sigma males have a gift for restraint. While everyone else rushes to speak, eager to prove a point, sound smart, or dominate the space, the Sigma male remains quiet, watching, listening, calculating. He doesn't jump in just to be heard. He doesn't need to win arguments or outshine anyone. Instead, he studies the room, the energy, the intentions behind the words. He pays attention to what people aren't saying, and he waits. He knows that most people talk to be seen. They throw around half-formed thoughts and repeat what they've heard just to fill silence or impress others. But a Sigma male sees through all of that. He sees how people expose their ignorance, insecurity, or arrogance by speaking too quickly or too often. That's why he holds back. His silence isn't hesitation, it's power. It's how he separates noise from truth. When he finally does speak, people stop and listen because by then the room is already tired of empty words. His voice cuts through all that. It's calm, grounded, and backed by real thought. It's not meant to impress, it's meant to clarify, correct, or shift the entire direction of the conversation. That's what makes it hit so hard. He doesn't flood the room with sound, he drops something solid, and when he does, it lands with weight. This is why people remember what he says, even if he speaks just once. It's rare, it's real, it's earned. In a world full of people talking just to hear themselves, the Sigma male reminds us that silence isn't weakness, it's discipline. And when used right, it turns every word into impact. Number 11. Outgrowing people without explanation. When a Sigma male grows, he doesn't send out a memo. He doesn't make a scene. He doesn't gather people to explain how much he's changed or why he's no longer available for the same conversations, the same routines, the same energy. He simply outgrows people quietly and walks away. No bitterness, no farewell speech, just a calm, intentional distance that speaks louder than words ever could. It's not about arrogance or pride. It's about alignment. When something no longer fits, whether it's a friendship, a group, a mindset, or even an entire environment, the Sigma male doesn't waste time forcing it to work. He feels the shift within himself, recognizes that he's moved beyond it, and he goes. No confrontation, no performance, no fake smiles, just clean exits. Because he understands that not everyone is meant to walk with him to the next level, and not everyone deserves access to his evolution. He doesn't believe in closure the way most people do. He doesn't owe anyone a monologue about why he's pulling away. Growth to him is personal. It doesn't require permission, and it certainly doesn't require explanation. If someone notices he's gone, they're supposed to. If they don't, that says everything. Either way, he's not turning around to double-check who noticed or who's upset. His growth isn't up for discussion. There's a deep freedom in that. A kind of liberation that only comes when you stop trying to be understood by people who were never supposed to understand you in the first place. The Sigma male values peace over people-pleasing, evolution over attachment, and truth over emotional performance. So when he disappears, it's not a mystery, it's a decision, a necessary one, and it's how he keeps rising, clean, quiet, and unapologetically. In conclusion, the rarest kind of man is the one who doesn't need to be seen to be powerful. That's the Sigma male, quiet, strategic, and deeply self-possessed. He doesn't follow trends, doesn't seek approval, and doesn't move with the crowd. What he likes, how he lives, and what he values often confuses others. And that's the point. He's not here to be understood. He's here to be true to himself. This isn't about being mysterious for the sake of it. It's about being intentional. Sigma males have a different operating system. They're not impressed by noise, attention, or status. What they enjoy, mental solitude, inner growth, raw honesty, and visible power, isn't flashy, but it's real, and it's rare. If you're a Sigma male or becoming one, know this. There's nothing wrong with liking the things no one else talks about. In fact, that's your power. You're not behind, you're ahead. In a world that's constantly loud and performative, your quiet discipline, your solitude, your refusal to be owned or defined by others is not weakness. It's a threat to the system, and that's why you stand out even when you're silent. The things you're drawn to aren't random. They're signals, signs of how deeply you think, how carefully you move, and how little you're willing to sell your soul for attention. And that's something the world needs more of, not less. So stay sharp, stay private, keep evolving in silence. You're not just uncommon. You're built for something uncommon. And the less you need the world's validation, the more unstoppable you become. Keep going. Thank you for watching. God bless you.